Good morning, everyone. Welcome to POLS 318, Theories of IR or Theories of International Relations. My name is Rotem. I will be your instructor, your lecturer, or your host for this semester. And today is our first official meeting for this semester, and I wanted to go over some of the details for this class. So to do that, I will share my screen with you. Wait a minute, sorry about that. There you go. And what I'm going to do today is I'll begin first with a little bit introduce myself, talk a little bit. I promise it's going to be very much a short discussion about myself, so you'll know who you are dealing with. The vast majority of the discussion today, which is going to be shorter than a regular type of lecture, we're going to focus on the syllabus, on the different procedures for the class, on my expectations, the different objectives of this course. I'll talk a little bit about my use of Canvas as the main tool to connect with you, to send you information, to send you all kinds of files or whatever we need. Before we finish discussion today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I asked you to do for this first lecture, which is listening to the podcast. Episode. To talk a little bit about what exactly is this topic of theories of international relations. What exactly does it mean? We'll talk about that for a few minutes, and we'll finish today with a really quick general overview of the different topics that I'm going to be talking about during this semester. Right, so let us begin. All right, so first, a little bit about myself. My name is Rotem. I'm a graduate student and doctoral candidate in the political science department. I'll be graduating this May. I already applied, so there's no going back. My major field of study, and one of the reasons that I teach this class, is international relations, and specifically my research focus on international security and foreign policy and how different individual type elements or system type elements affect the way we make decisions when it comes to international security, what affects our behavior when it comes to international conflicts or negotiation strategies or stuff like that. This is the main things that I'm studying in my dissertation and in other topics that I'm researching. If you want to know a little bit more, if you haven't done so already, you're welcome to press the link here at the bottom of the slide. That's going to send you to my website, where you have all the information about the papers that I've already written and published and other stuff that I'm working on right now. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to go to my website. So that's enough about me. If you're wondering, of course, about the accent and of course my name, so I'm, as you can probably guess, not an American by birth. I'm from Israel. I've been living here in College Station for the last 5.5 years with my family. I have a wife and 2 young children. I've got 2 boys ages 9 and 6, and we've been living here in College Station for the last almost 6 years while I'm here in graduate school. So if you were wondering about that. All right. So that really, this is the main focus for discussion today. All the things that I expect when it comes to this semester, the objective of this class, the different tasks you're going to have to submit, and the different issues related to this whole course of theories of IR, all of this is detailed in the syllabus. So this is why I'm asking you to go over the syllabus, read that, make sure that you understand everything that's related to this class. And that's actually what I'm going to also do now. I'm going to go over the main points, and I'm going to go over each one of the paragraphs in the syllabus, but the main things that are important for our course, I'm going to go over them now. So let's start with that. Okay, so this class is offered in what's called a hybrid format, which involves both a virtual component and a face-to-face component. So our lectures are going to be virtual lectures. So we'll have official meeting time, but you are not required to be connected to Zoom. This is not a synchronous class. So the way it's gonna be is that twice a week, every Monday and every Wednesday, just like I said on the syllabus, I'm gonna send you videos with the relevant lectures, which I recorded in advance, just like I record this lecture in advance. And this is going to be the topic of discussion for that day. So you're going to get those by with a link to your email or to your Canvas announcements on Monday and Wednesday, anywhere between 8 a.m. in the morning once my kids are in school and I can actually start working, all the way through about noon. At some point, you're going to have the link for the lecture and you will be able to watch that. I record the lecture, I upload them to my channel on YouTube, so you can access them whenever you want. I'm going to talk about the lectures in a few minutes when I go over to other aspects of the syllabus. So that's the virtual meeting. We're going to have twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. Those are the topics. And then the face-to-face component of this class is going to be on Fridays. So for both sections, for section 500 or section 501, in different times during the day, there's meetings that are going to take place on Friday. And what I'm going to do in those meetings is mostly discuss the topics that I've already talked during the week. I'm going to talk about it more. That's going to be a great opportunity for you to ask questions, to clarify any kind of issue that you may have missed or maybe you may have misunderstand when you watch the videos during the week. There's not going to be new topics taught during those meetings. What I will also try to do is provide you with more real-world examples for those different theories we're going to talk about during the week. So maybe it's going to help clarify things a little bit more. This is the main objective. This is a great time to come and talk about those things. If you have things that you want to ask about those different topics, if there's things that you are already familiar with and you want to talk about and clarify a little bit more or just go into talking about them, you're more than welcome to come to those meetings, and we're going to do that. Of course, just as any other face-to-face meeting in the university during the time of the global pandemic, you have to follow the protocols with face covering and social distancing and all the relevant things. Whatever section you are, section 500, section 501, make sure that you check the syllabus to ensure that you know the right place, because we're not meeting at the same place. There's a location for section 500 on Fridays. The meeting takes place between noon to 12:50 p.m. And for section 501, there's a different location, and those meetings are taking place on Fridays from 10:40 a.m., if I remember correctly, till 11:30 a.m. So just make sure that you do that. All right, office hours. So because there's also those discussion meetings, so I'm offering also office hours once a week. For Tuesdays, it's going to be for section 500. Wednesday, it's going to be for section 501. Office hours are going to be just as your syllabus, details between 9 a.m. to about 10:15 a.m. in the morning. How do you join office hours, which of course are taking place virtually? And the way that you do that is, I'll just jump to a syllabus now so we can see this. Here is one syllabus, for example. So if you want to join office hours, you have a link here on your syllabus. Everything on the syllabus, which is written in blue, is a hyperlink. You just press this link here, and that's going to take you to the meeting, to the Zoom meeting related to your specific section, of course, 500 or 501. I'm going to be there every Tuesday for 500 or Wednesday for 501 from 9 a.m. all the way through 10:15. So just join the Zoom meeting and we can talk about everything you want. That's an open to all students, of course. If you have any specific issues you want to talk about in private, there's no problem. Of course, Zoom has the option to do a private room, so we can just go into a different section and be separated from the other people that are still waiting to talk to me about whatever it is that you want to talk to me about, and we can talk in private. There's no problem with that as well. So that's in terms of office hours. Okay. Now, office hours are intended to, of course, help you. So I would highly recommend that you come and talk to me about that. Now, there may be some misperceptions that you may have regarding office hours. And for that, we have here Dr. Ishak from Santa Clara University, which provided a very nice and a quick discussion about what is office hours. If you haven't seen that video in the past, it's actually a pretty nice one to watch. If you did, then you're going to have 3 minutes of review to yourselves. Let's just watch together. And again, this is more of a humorous illustration of office hours, but I want you to really think about it seriously, especially in this context of virtual classes. Come and talk to me, whatever it is that you need to talk about during the semester.
I would love to go motorcycle racing with you. Oh, hi, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just sitting here casually in my office, writing emails while waiting for students to come in. You see, I am waiting here for office hours, but you may notice that there are no students here now. Office hours, I think, maybe are misunderstood, which is why I want to share with you 4 common misconceptions about office hours. Number 1, there is no value to office hours if I attend class. Not true, my friend. Office hours are a good complement to class and also a chance to ask for clarifications or to learn about class material in a more informal or relaxed setting. Number 2, office hours are outdated because of the electronic mail. I like to receive email as much as anybody else. But like many instructors, I am a busy person with an active social life and I like to party. I also have to do research and service, which means I am not responding to emails at all hours of the day. Again, I am a huge party animal, so I cannot respond to emails on evenings and weekends. They are not good for me. Email is asynchronous communication, which means that the receiver can choose when to respond. But office hours are in person, which means that you will get a response right away because our persons are in the same place. Number 3, you have to be there right when office hours start. No way, Jose, and also all my other students besides Jose. If I have office hours from 9 to 11 and you have class until 10, you can show up at 10:10 and that's fine. Remember, office hours are on a drop-in basis, and that's also a surfing term, which I know because I have many friends with long hair who live near the ocean and we surf together all the time. Number 4, office hours are only for talking about class material. Whoa, do you think I think about class material all day like some weirdo? And also, haven't you heard of the communication term multiplexity, which means that when people share information about multiple subjects, they're more likely to trust one another, share creative ideas, and form longer lasting social bonds? It's true. That is why I ask my students questions like, why did you choose your major? What are you involved with on campus? What do you think of my demo tape for The Voice? So if you talk with your instructor about multiple subjects, that may help you later when you are asking for something like a recommendation letter or a ride to Coachella, which is a cool thing that I know very much about. Okay, I hope I have cleared up misconceptions about office hours. And remember, if you can't come during scheduled office hours, we can always schedule a time to meet. Okay, back to my emails. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you, Mr. Timberlake, for appreciating my teaching, service, and research. But you, sir, are the real triple threat. I did not like Man of the Woods.
Okay, so in all serious now, use office hours, and if you have, just let me find this again. Okay, no, it's the wrong window. This is the window I was looking for. Use office hours if you cannot, for some reason, come and meet me office hours during the scheduled time that you have in your syllabus. Of course, you can email them to me, and we can try and schedule something else. So what exactly is this Intro to IR course? We're going to talk about a wide variety of theoretical frameworks to explain events in the international system, to explain actually what are international relations, to explain causes for war, to explain negotiation, to explain cooperation between states in the international system. The first half of the course, I'm going to get to that when I talk about the different topics, we'll focus on the more of a large explanations or the large theories that explain events in the international system, that explain the action of states or the action of particular members within states. And when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to actions in the international system, that's going to be the first half of this semester. And then in the second half of the course, I'm going to talk about more specific issues, such as issues related to economic policy in the international system? How does being part of an economic agreement between countries affect the behavior or the relations between those countries? And what exactly are sanctions? How useful are sanctions? Why are sanctions levied? This is an examples for things we're going to talk about when it comes to political economy. I'm going to devote a lot of time to talk about different theoretical concepts when it comes to international conflict, talk about coercion, talk about deterrence, talk about the use of military power, and all the other things related to that. We're going to also talk about international terrorism and other aspects of international security in this context. So this is the different issues we're going to talk about in this semester. Overall, that is going to be under the umbrella of providing different theoretical explanations to events that take place not just in the domestic area, but also in the international system between states. The main objectives, of course, are detailed on your syllabus, so we're going to have to go to that as well again. Here is the syllabus again, right? So, of course, we're going to learn about different concepts and terms that are relevant to the study of international relations. So you will learn all those. How to apply a body of factual knowledge, which means we're going to also talk about specific events that happen in history and try to understand them based on those different theories. Talk about how to analyze empirical evidence when it comes to different point of view. So how does a domestic actor views events in the international system, and how does other actors in the international system view the behavior of specific actors here in the United States? So how do we analyze those when it comes to the empirical evidence we have about different events and different problems that take place in the world politics? And lastly, how to apply those different theories about conflict and cooperation between countries and explain events. So those are the main objectives that we have for this class. One more time, let's go back to, not here, sorry again, there it is. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about specifics. So what are your responsibilities for this class? As I said, the lectures in this course are given using pre-recorded videos. You will receive every Monday and every Wednesday at some point in the morning a link to YouTube with the recorded lecture with the topic of the day. Why do I use asynchronous type of course with pre-recorded lectures? So the main reason for that is that based on the fact that none of this is new to you because it's already the third semester in a row, unfortunately, all of us have to go through remote learning. I don't want to get to a point where I see some of you sit like that. I know that from experience that it happens because, just to remind you, I have 2 young kids that spent about 6 months at home last year learning in a remote format. And this is how they looked for about 90% of the time. I don't want to get to that with you, but really more seriously talking about this, I want to have you to make sure that you have the easiest access to the information, to the material of the class. So I think that by providing you this with lectures that were recorded in advance, you will be able to access them and watch the content in your own free time. I'm sure you have a lot of other responsibilities, whether they are related to the university or to other things. All right. Other more things you have to do for this class. You have to submit the different tasks on time. So we'll have a midterm task. We'll have a final task. There's a couple of other tasks you're going to have. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. Make sure you submit them on time. The deadlines for each one of those different tasks is detailed on your syllabus. Make sure you do that. All of them are on them. Every week that you begin, make sure that you follow that week and ensure that there's no deadline that you've missed beforehand. One more thing that I ask you, and I hope that you'll be able to do, read before class. Don't make me the only one who actually did the reading before class, so I know what I'm talking about, but you're watching the lecture and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Read before class. For each one of the readings for the semester, you have a link on your syllabus. Once again, you can also find those articles on Google Scholar. Just like I said just like you specified on the syllabus, some of those articles you need to be connected to the university network in order to be able to access them, or just to log into the VPN of the university network from your home. If you have any problems with having access to specific article during any one of those weeks. So just email that to me in advance and I can try and help you, send you a copy of the papers. So that's your responsibilities overall. Let's talk about the different components of your grade, which is actually the different tasks. The first thing we have is attendance. I do take attendance for this class, even though it's a virtual format and you get the lectures in advance. I do take attendance for the meetings that are taking place on Monday and Wednesday. I do not, as I said beforehand, I do not take attendance for the Friday meeting, all right? So how exactly do I follow attendance? And for that, we're gonna have to go back again to your syllabus. A lot of back and forth for today. Okay, so there's a long discussion here in which I explain how exactly do I record your participation, your attendance, I'm sorry. So what's gonna happen is that in each one of the lectures, starting from next week, I'm gonna pause at some point, I'm gonna talk about whatever topic that is, and I'm gonna provide you with a word or a phrase that's gonna be used for attendance. I'm gonna talk about whatever the topic is, and then I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna say, all right, the attendance word for today is coffee. It can be coffee, it can be keys, it can be phone, it can be anything that I'm thinking about at that specific point. That's going to be the attendance word for that specific lecture. What you are required to do, write down or just make sure you remember that attendance word. After you finish watching the video, you can go to the attendance form, which you're going to have a link on Canvas, and you have the link here. You can see, you can just press this one and that's going to send you to a Google form. What is this Google form? Here is the Google form. Just let me show you in a second. There it is. All right, so when you press the link to the attendance form, you're gonna get to this form on Google. This is for section 500 for that matter. What do you need to do? Plug in your full name, first and last name, please, so I make sure that I can write it down for you. Your UIN. Then insert the date of the lecture. So if you watch the lecture for Wednesday, today is for today's January 20, so you plug in January 20, 2021. And then at the end, you write down the attendance word, whatever that word was. If it was coffee, you just write down coffee and do submit. Once you send submit, I'm gonna have that on my Google Drive, and then I'll be able to record that you watched the lecture for that specific day, right? So that's attendance. A few more points about that. Once again, the syllabus. Okay, so that's how exactly do I follow attendance for this class. You have two, as in number two, free absences or unexcused absences, which means you can decide that for some reason you don't want to watch a lecture that week. I don't know, whatever the reason is, you just, it's Monday after the Super Bowl and you're too depressed that the Chiefs won again and they're going to win the next 5 Super Bowls. So you really cannot tolerate the idea of watching an IR lecture video. So you don't want to watch that. Okay, you're not required to. You have 2 of these. After those 2 unexcused absences, which are free, for every absence from a lecture, I will deduce 1 point from those 5 points of your attendance poll for your attendance grade for the final grade, right? If you miss more than 10 lectures, that's going to be a problem, and I may contemplate not allowing you to pass this specific course. We have a total of about 28 to 30 sessions or lectures overall. If you miss more than 10, you miss anywhere between a third to 50% of the lectures, which is a lot, and I cannot allow that. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you have access to the material of the course and that you're going to have easy access and you're going to do it on your own time, considering everything that's going around with your requirements, with your responsibilities, the university is beyond this class, and with everything that's going around with the pandemic. So all I'm asking for you in exchange is make sure you watch those lectures and record your attendance. Okay, if you have any kind of excused absence, whatever that is, try and let me know before the day of the class that you won't be able to watch that if you can. And of course, if this is an excused absence, then it's okay. Then it's not going to be part of this loss of 5 points. An important thing that I want you to be aware of, I send you the link for each one of those lectures on Monday and Wednesday morning. You're not required to watch them the minute I send you the link. You're not even required to watch them on Monday and Wednesday. You can watch them whenever you want. If you want to wait until April and then watch all the lectures one after another, you can do that. I would not recommend that, but you can do that if you want. So you can watch the lectures whenever you want once you get the link, okay? I recommend that you try and watch the lectures as close as possible to the day that you get the link, because you don't want to get behind in the material of the class, and you also don't want to have any kind of mix-up when it comes to your attendance. So that's everything that I have related to attendance. Just watch the lectures twice a week. If you have questions, you are more than welcome to come talk to me on office hours, or come join us on the Friday face-to-face discussion sections. All right, other things. So other tasks that you have for this semester, you're going to have a midterm task. In this midterm task, it's going to be a short writing assignment based on one of the topics from weeks 1 through 7. Actually, it's going to be weeks 2 through 7, because week 1 is this week and we don't have any topic for this one. You're going to choose one of the topics from those weeks, provide an initial discussion about the main arguments of that theory and its implications for, of course, international relations. And then I'm going to send you a list of different podcast episodes in each one of those episodes, the host and the whoever is joining the host talk about different aspects of international relations theory or topic when it comes that relates to international relations. You're going to listen to those episodes and then provide a discussion about a page long, maybe a little bit less than a page, about how exactly is the different theory that you chose is featured in this podcast episode. Now I'm going to give you a little bit more details about the midterm task as we get closer to that at some point early in February. You're going to have to submit this midterm task in the first week of March. So we still have some time, and you're going to have more details about it later in the semester, but just to give you a sense of what exactly is the requirement here. You're going to have 3 survey tasks. Those survey tasks are surveys that you have to fill in during the semester. I'm going to send you a link by email. This is a very easy type of task that you need to do. The different surveys relate to topics that we're going to talk about during the semester. And all you have to do in order to get the 5 points for each one of those surveys is just answer in a serious and a truthful manner. Just read about the different scenarios, read the questions, and provide me with your opinions. Third, we're going to have take-home quizzes. So there's going to be 3 quizzes. Those are going to be short quizzes that are related directly to the reading material. A little bit more about that. So I do that in order to provide you more opportunities to work on your grades. Those quizzes are going to be, as I said, directly related to the readings for the following week. So if you have a quiz that relate to week 4, you're going to have to submit it the day before week 4 begins, because it's going to be related to the readings of week 4. Those quizzes are going to include both open-ended and multiple choice questions. Not a lot. It's going to be short quizzes. You're going to get, of course, as I said, 5 points to each one of them. And I already provide you here the topics that we're going to have. So we're going to have one quiz is going to be before week 4 to the topic of domestic politics and its effects in international relations. We're going to have another quiz that you're going to have to submit before week 6. And that's going to be related to the topics, to the readings of political psychology, week 6 on your syllabus. And then we're going to have a little bit of a break. And the third quiz is going to be before week 13, related to the readings of terrorism. So I'm going to provide you with reminders that you have to submit those readings for the following week, but make sure that you're going to do that. Usually the deadline for submitting those quizzes is going to be Sunday night before the week begins. So for week 4, the Sunday night before week 4 begins is going to be the deadline to submit the relevant quiz. Of course, you can submit the quiz at any point beforehand. I'm going to send you the link for the quiz enough time in advance so you're going to have enough time both read the papers and answer the questions. The final part for in terms of grading in your task is the term paper and the presentation. You write the term paper either by yourself or in a group of 3 students maximum. if you decide to work in a group, then please follow all the safety protocols for yourselves. The main idea behind the final paper will be to investigate a series of real-world cases using the different theories that we're going to talk about during the semester. So you're going to choose one or two theories from the topics that we talk about during the semester. You're going to talk a little bit about them, explain what those theories are, how those theories were developed, and what are the main points that the theories are talking about, and what are the main implications of those theories. And then you're going to find anywhere between 2 and 4 real-world cases and explain those events, or explain how those events eventually materialized based on those different theories. You will be required to approve the topic of your final paper with me by March 29. So I want to get by that point, I want to get a sense of what exactly you're going to study about, what exactly is the topic that you decided that you want to write your final project about. And then I can also help you, of course, come up with ideas about different cases or how exactly to approach those kinds of issues. The final project, both paper and presentation, going to be, the deadline for them is going to be May 3rd, which is a long time from now, but we'll get to that. And in addition to the paper, which is 40% of your final grade, there's 5% that you're going to get based on presentation. And we're not meeting in person other than the Friday sections. But again, you're not required to be at the Friday section, so I do not count them. We are meeting just remotely, but you will prepare a presentation because I think it's a skill that you need to develop as if we're meeting in person. Now you're going to get a lot more details, including a very specific video with details about the final project, both paper and presentation, as we get closer to that. But again, you need to understand that this is part of your responsibilities here. Okay, quick things to finish with the syllabus for today. So unfortunately, we're still dealing with the global pandemic. So make sure that you stay safe. Your health really is the #1 priority here. More than the class, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that you learn as much as possible during the semester. But you're gonna also need to make sure that you keep your health. There's a bunch of university protocols that are detailed on the syllabus. All of them are relevant when you come to the face-to-face sections, of course. Things like if you don't feel well, then you're not allowed to come to classes and all those kinds of things. When you do come to class, follow the protocols in terms of face covering and social distancing and all those kinds of things. But overall, those protocols are also very good for your everyday routine when we're still dealing with this global event. Talking to me, you are more than welcome to ask me anything that you think I'll be able to help you when it comes to the class. Of course, when it comes to things outside the class, I can try and help. I can't promise anything. You can email me whenever you need my help. Office hours, as I said, both office hours as well as the Friday discussion meetings are for you. Use it, right? Come and talk to me, whether it is during office hours or during those Friday meetings, so we can clarify if there are things that you don't understand, if there's additional questions you want to ask, or you just want to talk a little bit about those topics more. No problems, use it. I'll try to respond to emails relatively fast. It's going to be within a 24-hour window. And unless the issues are very, very urgent, I'm not going to reply to emails over the weekend, because other than the fact that I have to do everything for this class and I have to finish my dissertation, I also have, as I told you already, 2 young kids running at home that I have to keep alive. So weekends are a little bit busier. I have less time to respond to emails. I'm going to do that if there's anything urgent. Most of the material for the course will be submitted using Canvas. I haven't used Canvas in the previous semester, so it's going to take a little bit more to learn specifically how to use that. But follow the announcements on Canvas and your email, of course, and I will upload copies of the lectures, those slides, after I already submitted you the video for today. I will also upload a copy of the slides to the files on Canvas, and you're gonna also have details about your different grades on your Canvas account. The last thing is this I'm still working on I'm gonna set up a very simple website with the material of the course. This course website, I'll provide you with the link once the course is set up. It's gonna provide you an easier access again to the different lectures and to the slides. You can go at whatever you want. After I submit to you every Monday and Wednesday those lectures, I'm going to also upload them to the website, and then you will also be able to access that through that place if that's easier to you. All right. So the one thing I did ask you, and that's the substantive aspect of today's discussion, and I did ask you to listen to the podcast episode from the POLS podcast, which is a very nice podcast to follow if you want to learn more about IR, not just in the context of our class, but overall about international relations when it comes to everything that's happening in the world right now. So what he does in this episode, there's a short discussion which offers a very nice introduction into what IR research really is. Why do we need to study the international relations? Why do we need to develop theoretical frameworks to explain those? And the main objective that he talks about in this podcast is that the main objective that we have when we do research when it comes to international relations is to understand events in the international system. How can we understand the beginning of war? How can we understand international cooperation? How can we understand when countries provide foreign aid to one country and when they do not want to provide foreign aid to a different country? How can we understand this event? And we develop the theoretical explanations in order to address those kinds of questions. Now, another thing that he talks about is that what we do in IR when it comes to research and to learning about IR is that we adopt a more general view. We're not just looking at specific events in when it comes to the international system, such as why did the United States apply sanctions on North Korea, but we're also trying to think about what are the broader implications of this event? Not just why the United States applied those sanctions, but what does it mean when a large country, a strong country, applies policy tools such as international sanctions on another country? What does this mean to other countries, to other similar countries, right? And the point is to look at those different types of events in the international system, such as the application of sanctions or the provision of foreign aid or the decision to go to war or the decision to stop war. All those kinds of events, what are they represent an example of in a much broader scale? So if you follow the example that he had when he talked about that in the podcast episode, he talked about the withdrawal of US troops from Somalia. So from an IR standpoint, we're thinking about the larger question of what is that specific event mean for the behavior of large countries, of powerful countries in regions such as Africa. So it's not just why did the United States decide to pull its troops away from Somalia, it's also what does that mean for the way that we understand the ways that major powers such as the United States behave in regions such as Africa or some places in Asia for that matter. That's the kind of questions that we are addressing. Another thing that we explore when it comes to IR is what are the domestic political ramifications of actions taking place in the international system. So a decision to pull troops from a foreign country is an international event. But what are the domestic political implications for that? Or also from that standpoint, how do domestic political events affect those kinds of decisions? So for example, how do the elections of 2020, just a few months away, had an effect on that decision to pull the troops? Did the president do that because he made any kind of campaign promises? So in that sense, how do domestic political events affect behavior in the international system? And at the same time, we also apply that when it comes to IR research. How do international system events affect domestic dynamics? So how does the withdrawal of troops from Somalia has an effect on the reputation or the credibility of the president, both for domestic audience as well as for the international audience? Those are just different types of questions that we address when it comes to IR research. Now, for events that are taking place in the international system, such as the withdrawal of troops from a foreign country, we can think about other angles. For example, instead of looking at just the IR angle, which I said is a more broader type of perspective, we can think about more of a country-specific analysis. Why did the United States decide to pull its troops from Somalia and not from other countries? So if there are troops in Kenya, why did the United States decide to pull its troops from Somalia and not from Kenya? So that's a more specific angle. There can also be an angle of a military policy or a military strategy standpoint. We're thinking about it that there were US troops, there was US military troops in Somalia. Why did we decide to pull those troops up? Because of different military type perspectives, such as, is this location more useful from a military perspective? Is this location less useful? It's more harmful for the US military forces. That's a more specific military analyst perspective. We can also think about it from a more of a regional standpoint. What does the withdrawal of troops mean for the US presence in the Horn of Africa, countries around that area? Does that lead to increased risk of violence in other countries because the US troops are no longer in Somalia? So maybe there is risk for more violence in the countries around Somalia or in Somalia itself. This is a more of a perspective which looks more at the area itself and not just the decision by the United States when it comes to Somalia. Last perspective we can think about in this case is US defense policy. What does the withdrawal of troops from a foreign country means to the US presence in other countries or in the greater Middle East and in Africa? This is another perspective which we can explore that specific event and draw our own implications. So this is just a lot of different angles we can think about. The IR angle is the more general one, but within IR, we can think about all those different angles within that. Okay, so that's what we had on the episode and the podcast episode. I wanted you to listen to that really as just a really, simple getting into the topic and trying to understand what exactly are we talking about when we're saying we're going to learn about different theories of international relations. And I'm going to finish today by doing a very general overview of the topics we're going to talk about. So there's a lot of topics we're going to talk about this semester, and this is the details we're going to have starting next week. We're going to begin with talking about how do we build scientific theories, what are the important principles we have to follow. That's more in general when it comes to theories that explain social events and political events, and we're going to apply that more specifically to international relations. How do we build those theories of IR in order to explain those events? Then we're going to shift gear and go into more specific types of theories. As I said, the first half of the semester, we're going to deal with the general theories of IR. So we're going to talk about the different material theories such as realism and neorealism, talk about domestic politics. I gave you some examples with the Somalia and other types of theories, ending up with political psychology and leaders. In this case, we're going to focus more on how specific individuals and how their behavior affects international type events. Then we're going to shift to more specific types of topics within IR, such as political economy, international institutions. What does it mean when the US is part of an international agreement when it comes to climate policy? What it means when a country decides to withdraw for those kinds of international agreements. That's, for example, part of the discussion when we talk about international institutions. We'll talk about the domestic peace and audience cost theories, two of the major theories within this area of IR. Then more specific issues within international conflicts such as reputation, deterrence, and coercion. Talk about why are territorial disputes unique, how they are different from other types of disputes. We'll spend the week talking about international terrorism, the causes, the effects of international terrorism, how did that relate to other issues. And we'll end up the semester talking about modern warfare, which is mostly a discussion about how do advanced technology and the integration of advanced technological tools affect international behavior. And we'll spend another lecture talking about covert action. So how does action which is hidden away from the public eye, how does that affect IR overall and specifically research in IR? So that's the course we have I have for you. If you have any kind of question, then you're more than welcome to use Canvas to send me messages or send me an email directly. You have my email on the syllabus if you need anything. I will upload the lecture on Monday morning. There's no class on this Friday. There's no discussion session on Friday. So starting next week on Monday, we're going to have our first official lecture. You will get the email, and then also I'm going to start also recording your attendance. So with that, I'm going to end the discussion for today, and I will see you all on Monday. Goodbye, everyone.